I'm joined now by Professor Abel Esterhuyse from the Stellenbosch University's Department of Strategic Studies. Prof, good evening. So this ground offensive, as it has been described for weeks now, seems like it's going to be going full steam ahead. What do you make of the reasoning, explanations coming out of Israel for why they believe this is necessary?
Yeah, I think one has to understand that up until now, Israel was only sort of preparing the area of operations for an offensive. But I think, to be quite honest with you, Israel is, from a military operational perspective, in deep trouble. And one has to give Hamas credit here for how they have set this up. Let me provide a short explanation of what I meant. To neutralize Israel's advantage in the kinetic domain, their ability to shoot, I almost want to say, they have gone underground. And at present, all Israel's attention is focused on how to neutralize the advantage of Hamas and their ability to maneuver underground. And for Israel, there is in essence two choices. They can follow an indirect approach, try to cut Hamas' supply of food, water, and oxygen that is urgently needed underground. That's the one approach that they can follow. The other approach, of course, is to enter the tunnel system and fight it out underground in an environment where one has to accept Hamas has prepared, the area for a decisive engagement with the Israelis. But what we have seen in the last 24 hours was Israel launching a sort of an offensive to divide the Gaza into two areas. Israeli tanks advanced this morning from east to west, trying to reach the Salam al-Din highway. That is sort of the middle road that is, and the main road connecting north and south of the Gaza Strip. The Israeli tank offensive is taking place in the sparsely populated areas north of the Wadi Gaza stream that is flowing east-west across the Gaza Strip. And I should say, this was the area that we all expected Israel would execute a tank attack from the start. The geographical conditions here are perfect for a tank offensive. But I also need to add, I don't think this is really going to achieve anything for Israel. It's not as if Israel is going to achieve what it is setting out to do. Eventually, I think Israel will cut the Gaza Strip into two parts and then turn north towards Gaza City and try and go underground and deal with the Hamas fighters that is sitting underground.
Israel has been insisting that its approach to this conflict should really be seen through the lens of a military strategy which is anchored on it protecting itself. What we also have, of course, is the fact that you have the lives of thousands of Palestinians, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians that have been upended by this conflict. As it stands, we're looking at a death toll that's hovering around the 10,000 mark within a space really of about 3 weeks. What does... Go ahead, Prof.
No, I think that's precisely the reason why the international tide is turning against Israel. This is precisely the reason why I think Israel's ability to maneuver internationally and the support for Israel, to be quite honest, is slowly but surely drying up. But then at the same time, the world at present is divided into two definite camps, no doubt about that. And on the one hand, we're sitting with the US and Britain and the biggest part of Europe supporting Israel. And on the other hand, we're sitting with the global south, perhaps China, Iran, and Russia, that is coming out in their support for Hamas. So we also should see what is unfolding at the moment in Gaza and in Israel within what I want to call a bigger conflict context at the moment.
So in many ways, then the war and the conflict itself has come to be a proxy of sort for everything else that is taking place internationally. But how much longer do you foresee the situation unfolding? And by that I mean, are we any nearer to a de-escalation of this conflict than we have been in the last couple of weeks?
I think there's two critical variables here. I think we have to understand that the conflicting parties, that is Israel, the Palestinian Authority, Israel, and Hamas, is very far away from engaging each other at a diplomatic level. They're very far away from sitting around the table. I think that is a point one has to make. And then, of course, you need to ask the question whether there is enough international pressure at the present to bring them to a negotiating table. And I don't see that kind of pressure at present unfolding. It's almost as if the West in particular is trying to create breathing space for Israel to do operationally what they consider to be a military operation of necessity. So if we do not have the conflicting parties talking to each other, and we don't have a lot of pressure internationally and a willingness of the big and major powers in the world to come together and to put pressure on the warring parties to create some form of peace initiative, this is not going to happen. So I don't foresee a peace initiative within the short time frame.
Professor Abel Esterhuyse is with the Stellenbosch University's Department of Strategic Studies. Thanks for your time tonight.